You get to Hollywood, and Hollywood decides what they want you to be. I was a guy with an idea that started talking about the things I cared about. Because of the way social media works, people then attach certain labels to me. And I found myself getting very attacked. And I am not good with that because of how I was treated as a young boy. There's a lot of open wounds there that I've been working on healing for a long, long time.
It's all about the evolution of the revolution, a movement of change, and the change of a movement. Some people will hear that and at first think it means nothing. It's something my late friend Sean DeLifus used to say before he passed away at around my age. I always understood it to mean if you want to make a change, you have to change the way you're approaching things. As the alleged sexual harassment and abuse case between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni continues to garner so much national attention, including my own, I can't help but feel bothered by the way so many corporate media and other institutions try to dismiss and disparage the people who stand up for those they believe are wrongly accused. I can't help but think about the Me Too movement and have Sean's words ringing in my ears. I think it's time to change the way we approach things, because this point and burn it all down attitude isn't working anymore. In fact, it's hurting people who may have been nothing but allies and support to those actual victims of sexual abuse and harassment. Some journalists, content creators, and other people in general, they'll try to put me down for that. At first I didn't think much of it. It didn't really bother me because I don't wear makeup and I don't hide my chin, so I'm not exactly the target audience for Glamour magazine. They'll use the same played out but still effective buzzwords to paint me in a negative light, but they're wrong about me, like they're wrong about so many others. So I'm taking myself out of this unoriginal game of letting this very complicated issue devolve into politics of left versus right, or men versus women. In fact, a lot of us are fed up with it. The media wants to act like defending Justin Baldoni is somehow a disservice or a betrayal to victims. Here's the problem with that. I was a victim of abuse and violence. I was also falsely accused of horrible things I would never do because my accuser materially benefited from turning the tables on me. So to the institutions who try to tell us what we can or should think, who try to put us in a little box and tell us things can only be one way. As a survivor myself, does my voice matter? How about theirs?
I was a victim of on-set sexual harassment. I am a survivor of casting couch sexual assault, and I support Justin Baldoni.
I'm a therapist, and I'm also a survivor of narcissistic abuse.
I am a legal assistant.
I am a veteran.
I myself am a victim of domestic abuse. I'm a mom of 2 beautiful boys.
I'm left-wing, although I don't see how that's relevant. As someone who's experienced SH, I believe Baldoni.
This is not a fight of man versus woman. It is a fight between right and wrong.
I am a survivor of SA. I stand with Justin Baldoni and those who need the truth to be told.
And the people who lie about such an attack made it hard for survivors like me to be believed.
Assuming the worst of people, assuming they must be internalized misogynists, that their opinions are less valuable than yours, that their work isn't worth as much, to me that sounds like it comes from a deep place of hurt. I know that I'm imperfect. I've called people names, I've made snap judgments. It's tied to my own personal experience and how I sometimes feel disappointed by others and take things too personally. I'm not here to attack the same journalists who would probably have no problem attacking me. I'm not here to say anything negative about Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, or anyone else involved. A lot of people who follow my channel come here for the humor. They're used to my real-time reactions and sometimes vulgar responses to things that I think are just bizarre. But there's a time and a place for that. Tonight I want to send a message. One from all of us. One that isn't an attack or a criticism of those who believe differently, but a means of showing who we are, why we believe what we believe, and the diverse background that we come from. The voices you'll hear tonight aren't those of some old boys club. They don't belong to any one political party. They've all had their own unique experiences, and what we have in common is that we believe in fairness, and we believe a social justice movement meant to protect us from a pervasive culture of sexual abuse and harassment has been hijacked and used to hurt some of that movement's biggest allies. And once you've heard the voices of survivors, mothers, wives, medical professionals, film industry professionals, and everyone else who reached out to lend their voice, on the off chance that Justin Baldoni, Jamey Heath, or any of Wayfarer should ever come across this, I'll have my own piece to say to you.
SA does not discriminate. There are victims of both sexes, and the people who lie about such an attack made it hard for survivors like me to be believed. This is not a fight of man versus woman. It is a fight between right and wrong. I had no idea who Justin Baldoni was until last summer. Since then, I have listened to every word of each party's legal filings with supporting documents and lack thereof. The way we receive information has changed in recent years, and the ability to control the narrative and hide behind lies and deceit has become more difficult. In my search for truth, I found no other way than to support Justin, who I felt was wrongly accused. I recognize that the lack of evidence was a complete character assassination of what I could only identify as a very undeserving human. I pray that somehow all of the pain that this situation brings Justin and all who love him will also bring equal parts beauty in the thousands of strangers who have stood up to fiercely protect him.
I'm a professional oil painter and antiques dealer. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and harassment. I want you to know you have my unwavering support, and we don't believe any of the allegations against you. Please stay strong. We're praying for you and your family.
I'm a therapist, and I'm also a survivor of narcissistic abuse. I grew up around domestic violence as well. And once I became a therapist, I spent a big part of my career working with survivors. This whole situation has mattered very deeply to me. That's exactly why I support Justin. Lately, it feels like there's no room for nuance, like supporting a man who's been falsely accused automatically makes you anti-woman. And I don't think that's feminism. I think real feminism means fighting for justice and not picking a side simply because someone is a woman. Again, as someone who's worked closely with survivors of domestic abuse, I know the harm that false accusations can cause. I also know that believing survivors doesn't mean that we shut down critical thinking. We can hold space for real victims while also recognizing when someone is being unfairly attacked. I support Justin, and I choose to believe in truth over outrage.
Believing women in 2025 is absolutely crucial. But what has happened is that movement has devolved into believe all women, no matter what, which leaves zero room for critical thinking. And as a mother of a 19-year-old son, that scares me. That's just one of the reasons why I support Justin Baldoni.
So why do I believe Justin Baldoni? Justin really has maintained his credibility, and Justin presented really a clear, logical explanation backed by empirical evidence, revealing how text messages and events were mischaracterized, and it made sense. Really, when you take a deeper look at him, his podcasts, his books, his appearances, his family, he seems sincere. There are many, many other reasons why I believe he is likely to be more right than she is. I definitely remain open to changing my mind if new evidence emerges. But if I'm correct, Justin has suffered really a grave injustice, and that breaks my heart. Injustice is a terrible, terrible thing, and a man can suffer it at the hands of a woman. That really should not be a controversial statement.
I'm leaving this voice note in support of Justin Baldoni in his pursuit of justice against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I myself am a victim of domestic abuse, both physical and sexual, and I'm a mom of 2 beautiful boys. I find that whatever is happening with Justin Baldoni is so unfair, and I find that it's extremely important for people to speak out against any injustices. And in this case, just because Justin Baldoni is a man doesn't mean he's the aggressor. And looking at all the receipts that Justin Baldoni's team had put out, it's a clear indication that he's the victim here. It's really time that people speak out, people show up, people support the truth. You know, I really believed Blake Lively in the beginning, because we tend to do that, right? And it's so not fair, especially now that I'm a mom of 2 boys. It's not fair that, you know, the default judgment, we just place the default judgment on the man being the aggressor and the woman being the victim. Everybody has a responsibility here, and I hope that justice does get served and that Justin Baldoni gets everything that he's asking for and more.
I'm a woman who believes in the equality of men and women. Therefore, I believe in male victims as much as female victims. I'm also a lover of science and the scientific process, of objective and critical thinking. I'm also a certified integrated attachment theory coach who has intensely studied and has a passion for this, studying human behavior and our inner worlds and the dynamics those lead to with others. I support Justin and I stand with him. After seeing all of the evidence that we have seen so far, I don't believe anyone just because of their gender, just because they tell me to, or just because others tell me to. I do my research first in a vacuum to get a sense of what I believe, and then I check that against others and what they say and what they believe in case of any kind of personal bias that I may have or they may have. That is how I arrive to my choices, and that is how I arrive to this choice to support Justin.
I support Justin Baldoni because I believe in justice for the wrongly accused, whether that's a man or a woman, black or white, gay or straight, it doesn't matter. We should support the people who are telling the truth.
I support Justin Baldoni because facts should matter more than influence. At every step he has provided proof to back up his words. He has been vilified and, in my opinion, bullied by those who believe their influence makes them untouchable. As a survivor, I've seen how easily the truth can be twisted, and I refuse to stay silent and let that happen here. We stand with you, Justin.
I know what real sexual harassment and abuse are because I've lived them. I've been unwillingly touched, forcibly kissed, and violated in ways no one should ever have to experience. Because of that, I take these conversations seriously. Justice matters. Truth matters. And that means advocating for genuine survivors while also speaking out against false accusations. Supporting Justin isn't about dismissing victims. It's about ensuring fairness for everyone. I stand for truth, and that's why I stand with Justin Baldoni.
I hate the phrase, believe all women. I've always hated it, but now I especially hate it after my husband strangled me. He gaslit everyone. As I told the detective, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking for you to do your job and investigate. That's it.
As a survivor, I know people in power try to silence with lies. I know how hard it can be for the truth to prevail. The truth will prevail. I support Justin Baldoni for being an advocate for survivors and for believing survivors.
I am a veteran, a man who's silenced because I am a survivor of SA. I stand with Justin Baldoni and those who need the truth to be told.
I'm not American. I'm part of an international audience that's interested in the outcome of this case. Also, I'm left-wing, although I don't see how that's relevant. And as someone who's experienced SH, I believe Baldoni. And I want to see justice prevail for him, for Emily, for his kids, and for every innocent person caught up in this.
As someone who has worked in the film industry, I know the good, bad, and ugly history. Changes were finally happening. Voices were being heard and being encouraged. The higher-ups were forced to be accountable. Systems were being set up that weren't there before. And not just for the actors, but the forgotten and undervalued crew who were behind the camera. Safety was beginning to be a huge priority, especially after lives were lost or ruined. Slates for Sarah, for example. Gender, race, orientation, or job title finally seemed to not matter when reporting safety violations. These new systems almost encouraged me to go back into the industry, to feel like I could finally report violations, or at least atone for what I had witnessed before. I never could report sexual misconduct or feel safe on set or during production, as producers or higher-ups always have more power. So to hear the Times article, I was astonished that the new safety protocols failed a larger-named actress and that another producer may get away with it. But then came the gut punch that no reports were made. All the film safety precautions and means weren't used. No paper trail, at least that's what the public knows at this point, and that could change. I believe in proven facts and innocent until proven guilty, even if our society is too impatient or sadly ignorant. My gender, race, religion, political leanings, astrology sign, eating habits, or any other personal attributions shouldn't make a difference in why I'm passionate about the truth in this case. Film sets, like any other environment, should be safe and have the right protocols or procedures that hold all accountable, whether an actor, crew member, or a producer. But when there are systems in place that are not utilized, especially by someone with a bigger name, deep pockets, and powerful network, there are doubts. You can listen to victims without belief or judgment. Listening just requires paying attention and understanding what is being said. So please pay attention, as victims like myself have listened to the complaint, and we are still using our voices, yes, with the help of smaller commentators, and our voice is for Justin.
I support Justin Baldoni because I am a legal assistant, and I have never seen such an abuse of the legal process. But Justin's lawyer is running a tight ship, and he's like a Navy commander. But just something to think about. I don't think any of this shenanigans would have happened if the director had been someone like, say, Scorsese, Tarantino, or Clint Eastwood. Just something to think about.
I'm a survivor of abuse, and even so, my experience has taught me to spot the difference between truth and manipulation, which is why I don't remain silent about my firm's support behind Justin Baldoni. True justice requires us to examine evidence with clear eyes, and I firmly believe in his innocence and stand behind him 100%.
I am a mother and I believe in justice for real victims. But what defines a true victim? It's not about being a man or a woman. It's about being harmed and manipulated for someone else's benefit. And yet, in today's world, innocent men can become targets of false accusations, punished not for their actions, but because someone else chose to wield a lie as a weapon. At the same time, real victims, men and women alike, deserve to be believed, supported, and given justice. But when powerful people manipulate the system, they don't just harm the falsely accused, they also make it harder for true survivors to be heard. This is why awareness matters. This is why we must stand up and say victims are not defined by gender. They are defined by their experience, by the harm they've endured, and by their right to justice. No innocent person should have their life destroyed by lies, and no real victim should have their story drowned out by those who exploit the system. It's time to change the conversation. It's time to stand for truth, because justice should serve the innocent, not to be twisted as a weapon against them.
I was a victim of on-set sexual harassment. I am a survivor of casting couch sexual assault. Many years ago, I had to step up and say, #MeToo. I'm in the film industry, and I support Justin Baldoni.
I trust and believe in Justin Baldoni. I've been a mental health therapist for quite a long time, got a license, and have a lot of experience with mental health issues. So, Justin, my heart goes out to you. I'm sending you love and sympathy, and I know that we're all connected as one in this universe. So I know that we're standing with you, and that is going to be a force for good.
A lot of us men are really good at making friends and talking, just not about anything real. But if it's about our insecurities or our struggles, our fear of failure, then it's almost like we become paralyzed. At least I do.
Jamey, Justin, your families, everyone at Wayfarer who's feeling the weight of all of this right now. I know there's not really anything I can say to change things. In fact, I'm actually going to ask you for a favor. It's to not let this stop you from doing your work. I know you're limited in what you can say and do right now with the ongoing legal case, but this won't go on forever. And when it's over, we're still going to need you. So I'm going to end with this little reminder.
So some of the ways that I've been practicing breaking free of this behavior are by creating experiences that force me to be vulnerable. So if there's something I'm experiencing shame around in my life, I practice diving straight into it, no matter how scary it is, and sometimes even publicly. Because then in doing so, I take away its power.